StatMuse tweets this out. So Jimmy Garoppolo, 9-2 in his career, where he doesn't throw a touchdown pass, 3-0 in the playoffs. Now, as part of that little Twitter battle, Dustin Fox said he'd take Jimmy Garoppolo over Baker Mayfield. I don't know that I'd go down that far. I think Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield are similar type quarterbacks. Right now, the difference, though, is Garoppolo has the ability and has shown the ability to do things late in the fourth quarter with the ball in his hand. And I want to see that from Baker Mayfield. That's what I want to see, that, we need you to make this drive, go make this drive. I think he can, but he hadn't done that yet. Right. Enough against enough good teams.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry to interrupt there, but I agree. That's kind of what I was saying in my last answer, where I think part of this offseason, he needs to reevaluate how he's going mentally preparing for these fourth quarter drives, because it's clear his preparation for them and his thought process just wasn't right for whatever reason. He clearly, I think, just didn't have the right approach. Maybe he was pressing too much, trying way too hard to be the hero, and instead just getting the ball in guys' hands. And I think, again, that goes to having guys that can step up in those positions. And I look at Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he's in a great situation where he could be a game manager, and because of the talent around him and because of the coaching of Kyle Shanahan and what the 49ers have, he doesn't have to be great every game to win. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's going to do a great job scheming other teams up. He's got a very good offensive line in front of him, does Garoppolo. I mentioned Debo and George Kittle. Even lesser guys like Jawan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk as good receivers. And, of course, that defense with guys like Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. He's got all these pieces around him where he doesn't have to be Superman. He could just be himself. He could just do the safe things and win football games. And I've been of the opinion, I think this whole offseason, that if you take Baker and give him what Jimmy Garoppolo has, I think you have something extremely similar, if not better, in my mind, than what Jimmy Garoppolo is. That's why I'm kind of hesitant to agree with those people who say that you need to move on from Baker if a guy like Kirk Cousins or Jimmy Garoppolo is there, just because I don't think that's much of a move in the right direction. If it's Derek Carr, then I think you're telling a different story.
Yeah, I guess the way I look at it is, if you give Baker Mayfield those skilled positions, what does he do in that offense? And I don't know the answer to that, but that's the question, for comparison's sake. If Baker Mayfield had Debo Samuel and he had George Kittle and he had some of those weapons, what would he be able to do with the ball in his hand in the fourth quarter?
Well, I think it kind of comes down to a problem that we saw with the Browns all season. Their receivers couldn't separate. They couldn't beat one-on-one coverage when defenses were going man-to-man against them, particularly what the Steelers and the Ravens were doing throughout the season. And that's the problem. They just never had guys who could get separation. And Baker, I think, when he was injured, maybe changed his thought process where he was a little more skittish to make those throws. I understand that to an extent. But you also got to have the confidence in your receivers that if you throw the ball in that direction, that they're going to go make the plays. And then you have the drops as well from some of those guys, in particular Austin Hooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who were two of the biggest culprits when it comes to drops on this team. So Baker just needs guys who are going to get open and guys who could do things with the football in their hands, because you can argue he really hasn't had that at any point in his career. And any quarterback, let alone a young quarterback, really needs someone to make his life easier.